Hey you guys, I am 22 Tiger Dude and I am back to review Animation Domination premieres. It's finally back. It took like nearly a month, but we are here. And in a little bit, One Young Swag 5 is going to guest star. He's just not here right now because he did not see the premiere for the Cleveland show and The Simpsons, but he did see the last 5 minutes of The Simpsons. Anyways, let's start with the Cleveland show. The Cleveland show is when he reunites with this famous hip-hop guy named Kenny West. And Cleveland complains because he and Kenny West, back in high school, or was it college, I don't know, wrote a song together. So he's mad that he took all the credit and got all those awards. And then one day, Cleveland finds out that Kenny West was in some hip-hop some kind of society along with Nicki Minaj, Kanye West, will.i.am, Questlove, and holy crap, who else was it? Oh, I forgot. So that's your storyline from there. In my opinion, this episode really wasn't that good. Storyline, not too great, but it's not too bad either. It's not a horrible episode compared to the majority of the Cleveland show episodes I've seen this past year. It really isn't that bad, but it's definitely not that good either. There's some parts I like. There's some parts I didn't like, but you know, so it's kind of between half and half. There were some funny moments. I did laugh here and there. Where some of the humor falls flat, it's just not great. I did like the music video. The music video with Kanye West and everyone else was very cool. It had nice colors. Animation, of course, is always pretty good. It's not the best. It's not the worst. But if you hate the Cleveland show, don't watch this episode. If you like the Cleveland show, you might like this episode. I'm going to go ahead and just give this episode a 5 out of 10. Next up is The Simpsons. It's about when Marge and Homer, they look for a car. But then they go in the car, Marge doesn't like the car. And Marge discovers that she didn't like the new car that they were going to get because apparently she wants another baby. And of course, Homer does not like the idea. Meanwhile, Bart was curious about what Lisa's doing, so he gets him, so Bart and the gang all go see what Lisa's up to. And I'm not going to say anything else from there. Now, so far, this is not the best episode of the season, but I do quite find it very enjoyable. It's nice, it's got some funny moments. Of course, the animation's great. And there's this intro. It's not your usual intro where they play The Simpsons. No, they didn't play the theme song. The intro was Homer going to vote. Yes, the politics, yes. That was the intro. Homer had to vote for either Barack Obama or Mitt Romney. Man, why can't TV let go of this politics stuff? Okay, first of all, I just saw the Last Man Standing Season 2 premiere about this whole politics thing and who's going to vote for Romney or Obama, and oh my gosh. And I love the show Last Man Standing, but oh my gosh, enough of the politics, and I just had to see it here. Sorry for mentioning Last Man Standing. I know that's completely off topic, but I just had to prove my point. So intro, to be honest, I didn't like it. The storyline's sweet, it's pretty nice. There were times in the episode where I felt like it just dragged. It could have been better. It could have had more funnier moments. But you know, it was good for what it was. Oh yeah, and for all those Jeff Gordon fans out there, Jeff Gordon makes a cameo appearance in this new Simpsons episode, just so you know. My little brother was happy about that because he's a huge Jeff Gordon fan, as well as being a huge NASCAR fan himself. So he was happy to see Jeff Gordon make a cameo in this episode. It's just a cameo though, but it was still great. But for what it was enjoyable. So I am going to give this Simpsons episode an 8 out of 10. I recommend it, especially if you're a Simpsons fan, just like me. To me, it's not perfect, but for what it was great. We are now reviewing a Bob's Burgers episode, and One Young Swag 5 is here with me.
What up?
Alright, so Bob's Burgers. It's about when Bob, he realizes that he had no childhood because his dad never let him actually go out and play with the other kids. He was always working as a childhood, and he didn't want the same for the kids. So, as the title states, Bob fires the kids so they could have an actual childhood and not waste all of their childhood or their summer vacation just working at Bob's Burgers. And the kids, they don't like the idea, so they find work. They find these old folks, and they don't know until they discover that they were actually working at a weed farm. The episode, it started off great, it was funny, it was well written. The middle one, not as funny as the beginning, but it was still funny, it was still good, it still felt fresh. And then it lowers down. While it still got kind of funny, the kids' jokes, it seemed like the majority of the humor was just the kids jumping out and saying whatever comes into their mind. Like, for example, one of the kids says, "Prickleberry," or like this. And, they say a few vulgar jokes, and it just gets old after a while. So it just kind of ended very weakly. But for the most part, I like this episode. It's just not the best Bob's Burgers episode I've ever seen, So at the same time, it was a bit of a disappointment. What do you think, Young Swag?
It was alright, I guess. Wasn't really that funny.
Yeah, well, it started off funny, but then it just got weaker and weaker. It wasn't as well written. They could have handled it better, like how they ended it and all,
Yeah.
I felt like the ending was kind of a cop-out, The ending just left me saying, what? Really? That's it? That's how they really ended the episode? So, yeah, I don't know what to really say about that.
Yeah, so I'm thinking whatever. I do like the episode. It's entertaining, but
it just has problems.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know why they made a show about Bob's Burgers. If you're gonna do like an animation comedy, it has to be funny, like Family Guy, for example, American Dad.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a huge Bob's Burgers fan, to be honest, but I have seen some funny episodes. When I started watching this show, I hated its guts, but the show's starting to grow on me. This just isn't one of their better episodes, though.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and give this episode a 7.5 out of 10. It was good, but it just wasn't spectacular. It just could have been a much better written, more funnier episode. You, dude?
Yeah. I'll give it like a 6.5, actually. Yeah. I mean, the first part was funny, but was not that good.
Now we're on to the Family Guy episode, and Young Swag, do you want to describe what this Family Guy episode is about?
Alright, this Family Guy episode, it's about Stewie and Brian go to pyramid industry. Turns out they find a cure for cancer, but Carter doesn't want to give it away to the public, and so they were fighting about what he has to do in order for them to cure cancer in the whole world.
And there was this quick subplot. It only lasted for 8 minutes. Then after that, that's when it focused on the whole Carter cancer plot. But in the first 8 minutes of the episode, it's discovered that Quagmire has been wearing a toupee all this time, so he never wants to be seen again. The guys gave Carter the idea for him to get a head transplant, so that's when he decided to get a hair transplant, and then boom. Out of all the episodes I've seen in Fox Animation Domination, I think this one was the funniest of the night. I mean, it was well written. It was hilarious. It's one of my favorites of the season. There were a couple of cutaways I didn't like, but I'm gonna let it slide just because you could easily forget about the cutaways after a while. I was laughing my ass off. It was just very good. It felt fresh. It's the Family Guy that everyone still really likes, even though it may not be as good as the old episodes. But it still shows us why we all really like Family Guy. So, what do you think of this episode, Young Swag?
I really do like it. I mean, it's funny, and to be honest, I gotta be honest with you. It's a better episode than Bob's Burgers. So.
Oh yeah, definitely agree. This episode kicks Bob's Burgers' ass by a lot.
True. But
so,
anyway,
what did you like? What was it about this episode that made you really like it, man? Other than the fact that it's funny.
About where they were trying to get the antidote for the cancer so that they could cure it, and also the funny part was the Stewie nipples was all came out because it was too cold, and he's all like, "Hey Brian, look at my nipples. When I mess with them, they stretch out."
Despite just 2 cutaways I did not like, I think this is a very funny Family Guy episode. It's one of my favorites of this season. That's why I'm going to give Family Guy a boom boom, a 10 out of 10.
Yes, and I'm going to do the same thing. Give him 10 out of 10.
Awesome. We are on the American Dad episode. Oh, this episode is when Francine is worried about losing Stan because Stan has been hanging out with his best friends. So Roger helps Francine and gets her into this man costume, plus have this voice thing where it changes her voice to make it seem like it's a man voice, so Francine could go to the CIA party of Stan's and see why Stan prefers hanging out with the guys than her. And meanwhile, Steve and his friends start a boy band, and that's all you have to know from there.
This episode, it's really funny actually. Throughout the whole thing where he's all where Francine dresses up as a guy, like what 22 Tiger Dude said.
This was a funny American Dad episode, dude. I did laugh a lot. Storyline, at least for the most part, was right on track. It was well written. The flaw I had with this episode was the ending. Now, the ending, it's kind of funny, but I just felt like they just ended the episode that way to be kind of lazy. And then there's these fart jokes because Fran's man suit was farting. And while it did get funny the first time, after a while they kind of overplay the fart jokes, and to me it got old after a while, and I'm just watching the TV rolling my eyes like. And as for the subplot for Steve, hilarious. I actually think that's a bit better of a plot than the whole Francine in a guy suit plot. They were in this group band called Guys 12. And then there was this music video that they made, which was near the end of the episode, and I thought that was hilarious. I'm going to go ahead and give this episode a 9 out of 10. It's not quite perfect because of a couple of flaws, but I really enjoyed it, and that's really all that matters. So, what's your rating, Young Swag? Give everyone your honest rating on this episode.
A 10 out of 10.
Alright guys, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to One Young Swag 5's channel, like this video, and share this video. You could follow this dude on Facebook and Twitter. You could comment below and give me your honest thoughts on the Animation Domination premieres.
Got nothing to say, and it's very serious. Peace.
Peace. With the dash of tiger power.